morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Reed, otherwise known as Kevavar, and this is my story. I smoked 2.5 packs of cigarettes for about 35 years. Tried everything in the world to quit smoking. Nothing ever worked for me. None of the patches or lozenges or gums or pills, laser, hypnosis, all of those, I never lasted off of cigarettes more than 2.5 weeks, or 2 weeks rather, sorry. And the reason I stayed off cigarettes for 2 weeks is because 7 years ago my doctor told me that I had COPD, and if I didn't quit smoking within 10 years I'd be walking around with an oxygen tank. So that scared the pants off me and got me as close as I ever came to quitting smoking. My doctor, we'd already tried everything before, and my doctor told me to try the patch and the inhaler together, and for 2 weeks I only smoked 3 cigarettes, and I thought it was being successful. I came home from work in the middle of January and minus 30-degree weather and had no electricity, no hydro, so I spent 20 minutes on phone hell trying to get a hold of the local company, and after 20 minutes of phone hell I hung up the phone, ripped a patch off my arm, threw the inhaler against the wall so hard it shattered, lit one of my wife's cigarettes, and was right back to smoking. 3 years ago, I found a guy at a flea market selling electronic cigarettes, and I had given up trying to quit. I figured I'd quit smoking when I quit breathing. But I was walking around the flea market with my wife, and I saw this guy selling electronic cigarettes, so I decided to, after talking to him for a little bit, I decided to give it a try, and I bought a little trial pack, a little starter kit that you buy at the convenience stores now, disposables. And I went home, and I didn't smoke inside my house. So anytime I felt like I wanted a cigarette, I picked up the little starter kit and took a drag on it. 8 or 9 drags like I would on a cigarette. My urge went away and I put it down and went about my business. When I had been sucking on this thing for 15 minutes and I still wanted a freaking cigarette, I went outside and I smoked a cigarette. I did this for a week. During that week I only smoked, instead of over 14 packs of cigarettes, I had smoked less than 1 pack. So I knew that this would work for me. And on September 18th, 2011 at 10 o'clock at night, I went outside and smoked my last cigarette. Even though I didn't want the damn thing, I went ahead and smoked it. But I enjoyed the hell out of it because I knew it was going to be my last one. And I took my PV, personalized vaporizer, my ends, whatever you want to call it, electronic cigarette, to bed with me and put it on my nightstand. And when I got up in the morning, I was puffing on this thing like crazy, trying to get as much nicotine into my system, because that first cigarette in the morning was always the hardest for me. But while I was doing my morning constitutional, I'm puffing on this thing like crazy, and by the time I got to the point where I normally have my first cigarette with my first cup of coffee, I grabbed my e-cigarette with my coffee, and for the first few days it was a little bit tough, but I vaped through it and I was okay. Now, when I was smoking, I would climb one flight of stairs at my work, and my coworkers would make me sit down because I was breathing so hard. 2 weeks after I stopped, hadn't had a cigarette, been vaping, hadn't had a cigarette for 2 weeks, my grandkids came over and spent the night. And it's tradition that when the kids come over and spend the night, Grandpa gets up and makes them blueberry pancakes. So I got up that morning and I was downstairs in my basement, puffing on my cigarette, researching online vaping because I wanted to find out more information about it. And I heard the kids get up, so I knew I had to get dressed and make their pancakes and stuff. So I shut down my computer, got up from my computer, and climbed both flights of stairs in my house to head to my bedroom to get dressed so that I could make their breakfast. And when I rounded the flight of stairs heading towards my bedroom, all of a sudden I realized, wow, I can breathe. It was wonderful. Never wanted another cigarette. My wife would come inside from smoking and I could smell it on her. It stunk. I hated it. I have a deal with my wife. If I drink beer, I don't kiss her because she hates it. Now, if she goes outside and smokes, she doesn't come in and kiss me for the same reason. My wife is now a vapor, by the way. She's down from a pack a day to about 4 cigarettes a day, and it's her only vice, so I leave her alone on it. She'll give up those last 4 whenever she wants to. Anyway, regardless, I'm telling my story, not hers. About 4 months after I had started vaping, I was scheduled for a physical, so I went in, and I was all excited because I hadn't had a cigarette. First time I'd seen my doctor, and I went in, and my doctor walked in, and she said, "How you doing, Kevin?" And I said, "Well, I'm wonderful. I haven't had a cigarette in 4 months." And she said, "Really? How?" And I pointed to my e-cigarettes and said, "That's how," and explained to her about it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then she jumped online and looked at some of the stuff that I had been, some of the websites I had been looking at, and got some information about it, and found out what it was, and then came over and listened to my chest as doctors do, and said, "Wow, I can't believe the improvement, Kevin, already. This is great." So I passed my physical with flying colors and went on my merry way. And I had to go in and see her. This was about 10 months to a year after I quit, and I had to go in and see her for an unrelated matter, and she asked how I was doing on the non-smoking, and told her wonderful, great. And so she said, "Okay, well, let's really see how you are doing. Let's schedule you for a chest x-ray," which is what she had diagnosed my COPD from, and also a breathing test this time. So I said, okay. So I went in and did that, and I went back into her office about a month and a half later to discuss the results with her, and she told me that based on my chest x-ray, she would not, and listening to my chest, she would not say I had COPD. The breathing test shows that I still do and always will because I've done damage to my lungs, but it has improved so much that it was a lot better. She couldn't even see it on the chest x-ray or hear it in my when she listened to my chest anymore. So that was wonderful. And since that time, she has been handing out cards and telling people to go check out electronic cigarettes instead of writing prescriptions or telling people to try the patches and the gums and etc. So I even got my doctor on board. I got into the industry. I've been a computer guru, well, not guru, but tech for 25, 30 years, and I left that behind me because I believed in this product so much that I got into this business. And I was on some of the vaping shows. I did a vaping show for a while called the Vaping Knuckleheads, and really got into it, into the vaping online world, and now run my own, well, I manage a vape shop here in Midland, Ontario, and just happy as a clam. Getting up every morning. Yay, I get to go to work today. So, I decided that I would do this video today because 3 years ago, today, September 18th, I had my last cigarette. So I consider this my vape anniversary because 3 years, no cigarette. Pretty freaking great. This really worked. It worked for me. I thought I'd never quit smoking. Haven't had a cigarette in 3 years. I know I just said that, but I like to repeat things. Anyway, that's basically all I have to say. Except plumes, copyright Jiva 2008 to 2014. Have a great day, guys. Vape on. Be happy.